It won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on. If there is a load you have to bear that you can't carry on, like the road, I'll share your load. If you just call me, just call on the with me, and you'll need somebody to lean on. I just might have all that you understand. We all need somebody to lean on. Lean on me when you're not strong. I'll be your man. I'll help you carry on. For it won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on. Just fall on the when you need a hand. We all need somebody to lean on. I just might have all that you understand. We all need somebody to lean on. Lean on me when you're not strong. I'll be your man. I'll help you carry on. For it won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on. Lean on, lean on, lean on.
I'd like to welcome everybody and thank you for joining us in this celebration of David's life. Everyone here knows how special he was, and to be able to share this memory time with you is very precious. We would like to start with a brief meditation. If you've not meditated before, it's simply closing your eyes, listening to my words, and trying to follow as best your heart tells you to. So please join me as we take a moment to center ourselves. In whatever way works for you, get comfortable. Let your body adjust itself. Let your breathing fall into its natural rhythm. Allow your mind to be here, now, in this beautiful place, with these beautiful people, celebrating a beautiful life. In the beginning was the one source. All the love, the beauty, the joy, the wisdom, the intelligence that ever could be was there in the beginning, in the one. When the one decided to be many, it burst forth, and all that love and joy and peace, all that wisdom was spread freely, flying throughout the new space and time, the new now, the new experience of these qualities. What we call time is but a scale, because we live in now, and the next now, and the next now. All those qualities are still here. All the love, the joy, all the wisdom, all the peace is right here, right now, in this place, in us, as us, with us, and through us. We let our hearts fill with these qualities. That peace fills our being, knowing that we are centered in this source energy, in this one. We know love in our hearts, and we can feel it through our entire body. This love radiates filling this space, merging with the love emanating from the beings that share it with us. Those who were here before have left their love in this place, and we feel that too. As we let our hearts and minds expand, we feel this love enveloping the whole region, the whole country, the whole earth is full of love. Our love, the love that we feel and know, connected in this beautiful circulation. Just as love was the beginning, love is who and what we are. And we freely flow with this love, this peace, this joy. We allow ourselves to remain open, giving love wherever we go, living peace. We allow our spirits to bless the entire planet with these qualities that the Source has encoded in us as us. And in this now moment, we can feel David's love. For everything is energy, and every energy is never created or destroyed. We know David is here. And David too was love, is love in his essence. His love and our love merge, blanketing the planet and lifting everyone to a higher consciousness. The joy that twinkled in David's eyes fills our hearts, envelops the planet too, and lifts everyone up, no matter who and where they are. We are one. And in this realization, our hearts are at peace. In this now, we know that deep peace. We come back to this place, back to the awareness of our bodies, back to this now moment. But the love remains, the peace and the joy, oh, they keep expanding. And we are blessed, we are gifted by this realization of who and what we are. And we continue to express that highest and best in all that we are and all that we do. This is our intention, and this is what we pay attention to. And with great joy and great gratitude, we know that this is so, and so it is. Amen. You know, David was a really special person. I don't have to tell you that. Anyone who knew him could see that in his eyes. He had a wry sense of humor that he always liked to share with anyone who gave him the chance. I'm going to read a little biography of his life. It has some facts that I didn't know about him. David was born July 27th, 1957, in LaSalle, to Norbert F. and Betty A. Sorbin Burkart. David was born weighing only 2 pounds, 14 ounces, and he was an inspiration to all who knew him. Although he was afflicted with cerebral palsy from birth, he did not let that affect his aspirations. He was a lifelong learner. He loved to read. Everyone who knew him knew that. As a youth, he achieved Eagle Scout, the highest rank in Boy Scouts. He was a 1975 graduate of LaSalle, Peru High School. He received his associate's degree from Illinois Valley Community College in 1977. He went on to earn his bachelor's degree in psychology in 1982, and in 1985, his master's degree in educational psychology from Southern Illinois University at Carbondale. In 1991, David completed his PhD in counseling psychology at the University of Missouri, Columbia. As a student in Carbondale, David met the love of his life, Laura Moxley, who he married on June 18, 1983. She was his constant companion and greatest supporter. David and Laura shared their home with their 3 cats, Midnight, Sunshine, and Smokey. David enjoyed playing chess and, of course, was an avid reader. David was an exceptional psychologist, beginning his career in 1991 at Overton Brooks VA Medical Center in Shreveport. David was involved in many aspects of the Department of Psychology and also served as chief of psychology. His colleagues considered him an excellent role model for veterans that came to him, especially for veterans newly injured and disabled. He was recognized for his skills as a clinician, including cognitive behavioral therapy, group therapy, and testing. For 23 years, he was known as a competent clinician and a caring, compassionate psychologist by his patients and coworkers. Survivors include his wife Laura of Shreveport, his mother Betty A. Burkart of Peru, 5 sisters, Cheryl Christensen of Ladd, Jeanette Burkart of Decatur, Paula Robert Lati and Divine David Lump, both of LaSalle, and Catherine James Holter of Baraboo, Wisconsin, several nieces and nephews, and his best friend David Mott in Shreveport. Darwin, sorry. He was preceded in death by his father, Norbert F. Burkart, and his brother, Jeffrey F. Burkart, in infancy, and a nephew, Clinton D. Lamp. I think the main word that we focus on hearing this is caring, compassionate. David was love in action. David really is a present tense because we know energy can't be destroyed, and David's energy is shared by all who touched him. All those people that he taught, the people that he spoke with, patients, co-workers, even people he passed in the hall. He always had a smile for you. And every time you share that little bit of yourself, you change a life. We know that one moment can change your day, and one day can change a life, and one life can change the world. And David certainly did change this world for the better. At this time, we'd like for people who have something to share to come up and speak with us and let us know some of the ways that David touched them. Claude, would you start?
Sure. I think Judith has said it all already, but we'll say it again. We miss David dearly, and I saw him a lot and for quite a long time. When I heard that he passed, it's been 3 weeks now, July 27th, August 19th, it's almost 3 weeks. I decided I'd write something down. This is what I wrote down. In loving memory of David Francis Burkart, PhD, July 27, 1957, August 19, 2015. This was the day after he died. Today, the rain and gray skies reflect the sorrow of the many friends of David Burkart, who passed last night. He spent 23 years listening to and supporting countless veterans to alleviate their pain as a result of their sacrifice for their country. I met him in 2003 as a new psychologist at the VA in Shreveport, where he quickly became a close friend and a valuable mentor. He had a quick wit, a ready smile, which made everyone feel better. I picture him as a Santa Claus in a wheelchair, passing out words of encouragement to everyone. He clearly enriched my life and made coming to work enjoyable. I interviewed many veterans who considered him a powerful inspiration to never give up. He never stopped. David and his wife, Laura, became my Louisiana home away from my Michigan home. We spent many hours talking about psychology, science, politics, and spirituality. We often visited bookstores, libraries, movies, churches, concerts, restaurants. I often had a delicious home-cooked dinner on Sunday prepared by Laura, after which we played Scrabble. David and Laura were both stimulating and gracious, regardless of winning or losing. I usually won. When I lost, I got mad. But they didn't get mad. They took it. Somebody cheated on me. They were looking at their computer too much. That was it. So we had fun, and the cats didn't mind me eating too much. David will often like to say, Sunshine needs pets. There was a gold cat that he had. It was always lying on the couch, half awake. But then the black cat would snarl. But Smokey finally accepted me. He didn't snarl after a while. My life has been enriched beyond measure by David and his family. He is going to be a continuing inspiration for me and all who loved him. So that's really what I felt then, and I still feel today, and even more today than before, that he was something different, something special. And thank you all for being here for his memory.
Please come forward.
Well, it started about 12 years ago. I started driving for Dave and Laura, and it was a little bit more than just a job, because you got to live a life with people, and just like everybody you meet in church, Sunday school, and everywhere, it's a part of your life. And so I got to get to know them real well, and just really enjoyed being, I guess you'd say, like a part of the family with them. And just so many things that pop into your mind about this and that, but he's not gone, and the memory of him you always share with other people, especially the good times where he helped people, and where we prayed for people, and you know, just everybody just a part of a community, I guess you'd say, and part of Shreveport, part of the VA, part of whatever you're doing, whether it was trips up to see his mom and dad and them. It was just always a lot of wonderful feelings. So he's not dead. He's all in our minds, and we could share it with other people too. So thank you, Dave, for being my friend.
Thank you.
I wrote something down. I wanted to, some things I wanted to say about Dave. I began working with Dave when I was an NSU student working on my master's degree. And then later, I continued to work with him for 11 years at the VA. He was my supervisor for 9 of those years. He was so smart. He was patient, caring, humorous. He was a great supervisor, colleague, mentor, and friend. I was really blessed to have the opportunity to work with him, and I just wanted to share that. We had a Veterans Memorial Service at the VA, and it was really nice. Thank you. And so many of the veterans had wonderful things to say, and I put together a book for Laura with all of it in there, but I wanted to share a few things. Some of the comments, as I read through them, were just so touching. And these are what the veterans had to say about him. He saved my life. He cared. He listened. He always made time for me. He was larger than life. And this veteran said, Webster doesn't have a word to describe him. He counseled me and he inspired me to keep living. He was an outstanding doctor. He was one of our brothers at arms. He never let his disability get in his way. He made it hard to think that our problems were impossible to overcome when he demonstrated how he overcame his own problems. Another thing they said that was really touching was Dr. Burkart and his caregivers, because people saw Laura and Darwin coming to the VA every day, and they said Dr. Burkart and his caregivers were ambassadors to humanity and how to conduct yourself as a handicapped person and a caregiver. So they had those nice things to say about y'all too. And I really wanted to just share that. One veteran wrote a lot about how it was difficult for him at first because he didn't want to say anything embarrassing to Dave about his disability and ask too many questions. And, he said that he got over that. It became apparent that he was just another man doing the job that he was called to do and well equipped to do. He one time joked, "I look at things from a lower angle than most." But that is the closest he ever came to saying anything about his condition with this patient. He said, "Recently when I became his patient, I was extremely impressed with how he used his physical inabilities, mentoring how we should look at and treat our own problems. As easy as it would be for him to ask to do a physical task for him, he never did. If a patient left the door open, he closed it no matter how many times he had to reposition his wheelchair to get the job done. He made it hard to think that our problems were impossible to overcome when he demonstrated how he overcame his own." This was the same veteran that said, he was an ambassador to humanity, and just a wonderful doctor, provider, and an example for all. And I really wanted to share some of those details with that particular veteran because it was very touching. But every one of the veterans that commented, they all commented on how compassionate he was, caring, patient, available for them. If they called and said, "I really need to get in today," he tried to make time for that person. But they were all inspired by him. Every single one of them were inspired by him to live life and to not give up. Mm-hmm. And he saved lives. And I'm just very blessed to have had him in mind. And I miss Dave. I always will. Always remember him. Always be with me.
Would anyone like to come forward?
First of all, to those who know me, no notebook. Did you notice that? It's a little bit of a joke, but I couldn't. I had to have a folder. For those who don't know me, I'm John McGee, a psychologist at the VA. Actually knew David before I ever met him. I was active duty out at the base, and when we had active duty members who needed to be hospitalized, they had to be hospitalized at our VA. And it was the first glimpse of knowing how much he cared about people. The minimum was to do an evaluation and figure out what they needed, but David really began the process of therapy because he knew, as I think most of y'all know, is that when somebody's sharing something, especially that first visit, it may determine whether they come back. Yeah. And how often we've heard stories from veterans who waited 20 or 30 years because of one event that happened. Right. I don't think David ever had any of those events. And this is a wonderful picture of David with that smile, because I was thinking, and it was sort of funny, I was thinking about what
what I would say today, you know, there's so many things that have happened at our work. I don't know if some of y'all know that, but anyway. But I remember David for the smile. I remember from, as you say, the quick wit, the care, the love that he gave to everybody. I came up with three things that I thought about when I was sort of preparing, thinking about what I would say today. And the first was, I thought of a quote from Maya Angelou, and I'm going to read the quote. The quote was, "I've learned that people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel." End of quote. And I think that's why David had such an impact. You know, I will not be able to add anything to what people here know about him. It's just maybe some things that maybe because it was with me or whatever, or it was before people arrived, that you might not know about. The second thing was when I was talking to Laura, one of the things she said was, and I'm glad she said this just came out of the blue, is she said just how many people he influenced. You know, I was going to say something. Other than walking, David did everything that a psychologist did up there. If we took on call, David took on call. We did C&P, compensation and pension exams, David did it. Everything we did, therapy. And I think, again, that was one thing I noticed. He never refused work. He never refused a veteran. He was notorious. I don't know if some of y'all may remember when psychologists could actually come up to the VA on the weekends and catch up on work. And sometimes you would find half of the psychology staff up there. And usually David was up there. You know? And it was because he gave so much during the week. He was catching up on things. I used to sometimes wonder, is there something wrong with the picture? But I think, no, it was really something right with that picture, that there were so many up there. The other thing I thought about, the third thing, like I said, one was Maya Angelou, second was Laura, was when Dr. Struve retired in 2003. Now, a lot of y'all did not know Dr. Struve, but she attended this church, you know, for many years. Loved this church, loved the people here. She was also one of those people that, and I know that it can't be said about me, there are no bad stories about Eve Struve. Even if it's just my notebooks, that's got to be a bad story somewhere. You know, there'll probably be an investigation about my notebooks sometime soon. That's an inside joke for those at the VA. But Dr. Struve, Eve had, instead of having, when you ever retire, you can have it down on 2 West where they have those big education rooms, and they can open it up and you could probably get, I don't know, a couple of hundred people in there. She wanted to have it in mental health, so she chose to do that. And David said something that day. Everybody was taking an opportunity to sort of share stories about Eve. And here's what he said. Obviously, this is from memory, but Dave said something like, you know, a lot of people say they want to do the right thing and do the right thing by veterans. Eve Struve did the right thing by the veterans, and she did it every day. And the other thing I remember was his voice was breaking as he said that. And I really think it's because he knew the loss we would have with Eve leaving. I saw when Eve came back to the group one time after a few years, and I thought this would be choice. People are crying in the group, you know. It's because of the impact that they had. And David was one of those people who always had that impact. More recently, because of some of the things I've been going through, I've been coming up with some of the design flaws of the universe, okay? And I do plan to memo God, you know, about this probably at some point. I'm sure he has a website, you know, very, very sure he does. And one of the things I came up with is, you know, the idea of death of good people is just not a real good, that's a design flaw, you know. Bad people die early, good people should, you know. Adam, what was it, 900 years? Okay, you know, okay. We should be having those 900 years. The other thing that I came up with, the design flaw, was about fairness and unfairness. And then I thought how I have probably been the beneficiary of the unfairness of having so many good people in my life, of having somebody like David Burkart, who was there day in, day out, who gave so much I think I've been the benefit of having somebody who was much better than I probably deserved at the time. I used to think I was a good psychologist out at the base, and then I got there, and David was supervising me for licensure, and I just realized, whoa, I wish I could go back, you know? So, some people know I'm a movie fan, and there's a movie called Harold and Maude, which, I hear a couple of people, okay, you've heard about it. It's not even really a May-December relationship, is it? It's probably more like a March-December 31st relationship, is I would say it. Harold is very young, and Harold is, for whatever reasons, I don't want to give too much of the movie, but you know this at the start, is Harold is obsessed with death and dying, including how many different ways he could kill himself or whatever, okay? And he meets Maude, and the thing about Maude is full of life. And if she had any reason to not want to be full of life, she probably had reasons. I don't want to spoil it for the movie. But at one point, Harold is sort of away from her there at a fair, and he looks over, and there's Maude at a pinball machine, if you remember the movie. And there's just all these people, young, old, and they're all laughing or whatever. And so when she comes back, he says to Maude, Harold says, Maude, people really like you. And her response was, well, they're my own species. Now, why do I say that about David? I'm not sure David is the same species as the rest of us. When you consider some of the things that are happening with the VA and bureaucracy and everything else, Dave is special. David wasn't just liked, he was respected. In the last 2 weeks, I can't tell you the number of times somebody would just see me and say, you know, I saw David, he saw me. Sometimes it might have been on the inpatient unit, sometimes it was the groups he did. I mean, he did so